Welcome to Hear What I'm Saying, the podcast where we delve into the vibrant world of creativity and expression. I'm your host, Kenitra, and today I'm thrilled to have a special guest joining me. Please give a warm welcome to Ruth from Annan Productions. Ruth is not just a photographer and videographer. She's a visionary storyteller who captures moments with unparalleled depth and insight. In today's episode, Ruth will be sharing invaluable insights and gems from her extensive experience in the industry. Get ready to uncover the secrets to success for both new and seasoned professionals alike. From the importance of cultivating your online presence to the unique challenges of photographing people of color, Ruth will provide us with a wealth of knowledge that will undoubtedly leave a lasting impact on our listeners. So without further ado, let's dive into the conversation and discover what Ruth has to share on this episode of Hear What I'm Saying. Welcome to the Hear What I'm Saying podcast. I'm your host, Kenitra Stewart. Today we have a very special guest joining us, Ruth from Annan Productions. Ruth, how are you?
I am doing great, even better now that I get to chat with you. Thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has. It's been a few years. You left us, but it's all good.
I
It's all good.
know, girl. I thought I was coming back though, for real. I was like, no, I'm going
I
back to the DMV. And
know.
my mark was like 2022. And then 2022
Right.
came and I was like, I'm not being realistic. But I also
Yeah.
said that before the pandemic.
Right. Which that halted a lot of things. So
It
we
did.
forgive you.
It's my
We give
fault.
you 2 years. Right. That part.
Yes, indeed. So a little background about Ruth and I was searching for a videographer for a bridal video shoot that I
Yep.
wanted to do to promote my bridal hair business. I found Ruth on Instagram. I absolutely loved her work. And I had to reach out to her and I had to contact her. And I was like, hey, I told her, basically what it was that I needed of her services. And when I tell you she over delivered, I literally had no feedback.
Thank you.
I was like,
Uh,
the music, I was like, where did you find this song? Like the
yeah.
song was everything. And we literally shot that video in my
Mhm.
dining room.
We did.
Your editing.
You are extremely kind. I absolutely loved every time we worked together. It was so if you don't know, Kenitra is the dream client, okay? I'm sure she is the dream everything, but for me, she was the dream client. So
Yes.
just as much as you loved working with me, I absolutely loved working with you and your art, because I consider what you do art, right? Your art it speaks for itself. So a creative like myself capturing that, it was just,
Mhm.
yeah, it was like butter, you know what I mean?
I know.
It was
It
good.
was the first time we ever met. It just all worked out. It really
It
did.
did.
Yeah.
It did. And then we worked together again and then did some other things. So
Yep, we
I'm
did.
happy. And now we're here. Mm-hmm.
Finally. What's this? How many
Yes.
years later? That was in
That was a while
2019.
back. Yeah. Was it 19?
It was.
Oh my
That's when I done the bridal hair
goodness.
class over there. That was in 2019. Yep.
Wow.
Sure was.
I honestly, anything pre 2020, I forgot about. Like I have very faint memories of. So it
Mm.
is what it it is
Let
what
me
it
tell
is.
you,
Uh-huh.
I understand.
Mm.
I understand because
I know you get it.
it just flew by. It
It
really just
did.
flew by. That time, I don't know where it went. You cannot tell
Right.
me it's been like what? It's been 4 years. There's no way that was 4
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a long time ago, but I'm glad that that is behind us, and I think we learned so much as a people, as communities and all that. As creatives,
Mhm. Yeah,
especially the
as
drought that was
creators.
happening during that time.
Yep,
And one thing that I am thankful for is the fact that we all went through it together,
we did.
worldwide. I mean, it was,
Mhm.
everybody knows what was going on. So, yeah,
It
I'm glad it's
was.
over and I'm glad we're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, so Ruth, I hope I didn't steal your introduction, but tell the audience who you are, what you do.
Yes, you did not steal my introduction. I feel like you kind of just did a pre-roll. I
Yeah.
am Ruth Annan. I am the owner and lead photographer at Annan Productions. It is a media company based out of Maryland. We service the DMV area, pretty much, Baltimore, Maryland area, the Virginia areas, and the Washington, D.C. Thankfully, we have been able to break out into other markets, as in like states. So now we're doing
Wow.
things, yeah, we're doing things outside of just the DMV area, which I absolutely love and I'm thankful for. And amazingly enough, throughout the pandemic, my business has grown. I mean, we are thriving, and it's been amazing to just service so many different people, many different companies, and
Mhm.
it's been awesome. It's been awesome. So what we provide is we provide photography, videography, live streaming services. Every now and then we take clients that need websites as well as graphic design work.
Oh,
But right
wow, I
now
did not
we
know that.
yes, and
Mhm.
hopefully in the future we'll break into the UX, UI design fields also. But right now we're focusing on photography and videography and live stream.
Oh, wow. Girl, look
Yeah.
at you. I had no idea. I do remember at
Yes.
one point you were also speaking on the importance of SEO because I think
Yes.
you were rated like at a number one Google search because
Right,
of,
right.
your extent knowledge in SEO. And
Absolutely.
I do remember that.
Right. And that's still a passion of mine. It's something that now that I do have other people that are working for my company, I now have a few photographers under Annan Productions, which has been great. It's given me more time to focus on the actual business aspect of things. So,
Yeah.
SEO is something that I recommend for all business owners. I know this is not what we're going to talk about today, but
Yeah.
business owners should really hone in on that. I mean, start on YouTube, right? Start with some classes here and there just so that
Mhm.
you can learn how to rank, because
Yeah.
the whole goal is for your clients to be able to find you. And where are we right now? We're online,
Yeah.
so every business owner should know like at least the basics of SEO for their
Mhm.
business.
Absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so how long have you been a photographer and a videographer, and what inspired you to become one and the other? Like, did you start with
Oh,
photography first? Like, what?
so that is a loaded question for me
I'm sorry. I know
because
because I'm sure it's like it can be so broad. Like you can get
it
inspiration from so many
is.
different places. Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
Mhm.
I'll start with what inspired me. So when I was a little girl, I
Mhm.
actually my school ended up going to a TV studio, and I found it to be so fascinating. We were there for a TV show that they had children on, and I was just looking around, and everything just seems so amazing. I mean, when you're a little kid, right? Everything is like
Right.
huge and it's big and it's amazing.
Yes.
But that kind of stayed with me over the years, and I started in this field with television production. So I went to an art school in Newark, New Jersey,
Mhm.
and I majored in television there. So, I mean,
Oh.
there were so many opportunities. Yeah, like I majored in television production in high school, but they had other majors like dance, they had instruments, vocal, art, things like that.
Mhm.
And they gave us so many opportunities. I mean, at 15, I had the opportunity of being an intern at a local television studio. So, you can imagine I learned everything in a television studio, from pulling cables to doing camera to technical directing. And it was great because I was going to school for it. And then I was also getting that experience on the field. From
Mhm.
there, I always had a camera in my hand. It was inevitable,
I
you know?
love that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where it really began. That's where it truly began, where I picked up the camera, and it really started with video. That's where things started for me.
With video. What I love
Mhm.
about the DMV is you're not in a box.
Yes.
Yeah, the school I went to, being that I'm from Louisiana in a very small town,
Right.
you had to dream
Right.
outside of what they only showed you. you know,
Yeah.
it,
Right.
because it's like, if you were a Black young lady growing up where I'm from, you were automatically going to be a nurse.
Wow.
I knew I
Wow.
didn't want to be
Wow.
a nurse, but that's where my family was pushing me. That's
Thank you, nurses, but
no, for real, just
right.
not for me. Okay, at all. And I did try. I did go to Grambling State
Right.
University. Yeah, I was majoring in nursing, and
Wow.
I did only my first semester, and I was just like, nah, this ain't for me.
Wow.
Actually, no, I did the first
Okay.
year. I did the first year in nursing.
Oh, that's a long time.
And yeah, a lot of money wasted because I clearly
Yeah.
changed, my major. But it,
Right.
like when you said at a young age, like in elementary school,
Mhm.
it was like what, a field trip?
It was, yep, it was a field trip. Actually, it was yeah, it was elementary school. It was a field trip,
Uh-huh.
and then later on in high school is when I got introduced to it again, but in my mind, that was
Mhm.
already there. My first memories or attachment that I have are a TV studio. Like, till this day, I can still smell the wood, right? The
Oh my
wooden
gosh.
floor that we walked on. Like, I remember the colors. I remember how big the cameras were, and everything was just amazing, you
Mm.
know? So when I went back to it in high school, it was almost like, okay, I've been here before. Like I've seen this stuff before. And
Mhm.
I gravitated toward it, and I kind of just, I held on to it, and I absolutely, I mean, I love it. And the thing that I
Yeah.
love most about what I did previously to this business, which is I ended up, graduating college, and I went on to be a television director. You don't see many young Black women in
Mm-mm.
this field.
Mm-mm.
So of course that comes with its nuances, and I have experiences that I can share, yeah, for years and years. But
Mhm.
it was an amazing experience for me because it was something that I dreamed to do, and
Mhm.
it all just kind of worked together. So for a long time I was in the production world too, and that's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah. I just, for me, like, listen to your story, I know it's a passion. It's not just
It
some little
is.
hobby I'm picking up, and just
Oh
because I'm so
no.
good at it, I'm gonna find a
Right.
way to, you know, create income, with this. Because it's
Yeah.
like you only the way how
Right.
you remember, like, the smell of the wood, you remember the
I
colors.
do. Yes.
I'm like, and that's how it is for me, like as a child,
Oh.
going to hair salons,
Yep.
remembering like those it's like a certain scent in the air that most
Yes.
salons carried. And
Yes.
when
Yes.
when I smell that today, when I can get a good whiff of that today,
Right. Oh, it
I'd be
takes
like,
you right back. It
mm.
takes you
I'd be
back.
like, oh my goodness. Or even going in a barbershop and smelling the disinfection in the air. I'd be like,
Yeah. I love that.
or if they still have the barber pole, I'd be like, "Oh my
Right,
gosh,
right. The
yeah,
white and red and blue one that kind
yes."
of swirls. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those things take me back to childhood, and it just make me remember, like, ever since a kid, I knew this is what I wanted to do too. So, like, listening to your
Right.
story, that's why I'm so intrigued, like, listening to someone not say, "Oh, I just kinda fell into this," and I just so
Oh
happen to
no.
be good at it, but actually
Nope,
to
not
speak to
me.
someone who had a desire, a passion, you know because a lot of people don't, unfortunately, it's like they just kind of, went to college and this is what makes sense. This is
Right.
what I'm going to do. Like, a lot of people aren't really creating income with the passion that they really desire and love.
Right.
And
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that was actually a struggle for me, and it could have been a long-term struggle because I have an African background. My parents are
Mhm.
from Africa. And for us,
Oh,
right,
yes.
being a creative, an artist? Like, what?
Is
Excuse me, but
that?
are you dumb? Right.
And I know you're not dumb. I didn't raise you dumb because that's
Exactly.
the
They're
backlash you're
only,
gonna get.
and when you said,
Mhm.
the town that you come from, being a nurse, it was the thing. For Africans, it's either you're a doctor, you're a
Mhm.
lawyer, or you're a nurse.
Yeah.
So bring me something other than that, and we're cutting you off. Like, you're
Yeah.
done. You're a disgrace, low key. But thankfully, that wasn't, I don't know if it was my experience or I genuinely just didn't care because art was just in me. I
Yeah.
had some people in my family call me and try to give me advice, like, maybe you should maybe you should do something else. Maybe you should try this or try that. And I was like, no,
No.
this is what I want to do. This is where my calling is. I know that I'm going to figure something out and it'll work for me. But
Mhm.
they never really understood it, to the point where most of my family still doesn't know what I do.
Really? Why is that?
No, they know what I do, but they don't understand what I
What you
do. When
do.
I was working in television production, when I was directing, I mean, I had to record myself doing things so that I could explain to people, because they really didn't understand, But even to you, like if I say to you, I was a director, there's a lot that goes into that.
Directing.
I'm
That's
I'm
broad.
I was working with crews of like 8 to maybe 15 people at a time. People were doing camera, they were running the floor, they were running
Mhm.
microphones, they were, with the stage crew, with the
Mhm.
host, the audience. And I'm sitting on a chair like this, literally commanding it all,
Yeah,
right? And I
that's
was doing
direction.
that for live, right? I was
Mhm.
directing it all for live programs, for tape programs that just, were shelved and put on weekly rotation and things like that. And
Mhm.
it was like, okay, what do you do really? And I'm like, never mind. I just tried. Right.
Just because it doesn't
Yeah.
involve a needle and a blood pressure cup and,
Right. And it
pulling out a
didn't.
book and studying law and which I wish I woulda
Right.
kinda went to law school now. But
Right. Hello.
but
Yeah.
what I really, even with my own children, I'm like, whatever it is that they wanna do, if it's what you wanna do, I know you're gonna be successful at it because it's what you
Right.
want to do. And,
Exactly.
I just wish, parents today, they're honoring that, but
Yeah.
our parents did not honor that. It was
Mm.
like,
No.
"You wanna be an
Yeah.
artist?" Because you're an artist too,
Yes.
"You wanna be an
Right.
artist?" Okay, there's no stability and security there. Like, what are you
Nope.
doing?
There's no money, there's
Mhm.
nothing. Like you basically are throwing everything that we've put into your education
Mhm.
down the drain. But
Mhm.
thankfully for me, that was not the case. And I can't say the same for my colleagues or other people in the business,
Mhm.
because it was a journey for me. So transitioning from television production, it got to a point where I realized, I do want a family. I do want stability. I don't want to always have to be traveling around, because I was traveling around the States, for weeks at a time, just doing
Mhm.
live programs, and there was really no set schedule. So
Mhm.
I thought to myself, like, okay, I need to figure something out. And, thankfully photography was something that I was always doing behind the scenes anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it really needed to become something that it needed to be something that I became serious about. My
Mhm.
husband, he is a businessman through and through. So he would always say to me, hey, I see that you love the art aspect of photography, of videography, and what you do, but you also need to really think about how you can profit from this, right?
Yep.
How can you make money from this? And I would always look at him and be like, well, what do you mean by that? I mean, I love what I do and I don't mind if people, whatever they pay me,
Oh
they pay me.
my god.
And he's like, no, that's not how it works. And so there was a
Mm.
struggle between the artist and the about to be born businesswoman, right?
Yeah, 'cause you
And
love what you
once
did so much?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, pay me peanuts and I'm going
Yep.
to do it. I'll
Yep. Yep.
perform. But
Mhm.
once I really took in all of the business advice and even the business education that I have, because I do have an
Mhm.
MBA, it
Mhm.
was like everything just kind of came together. And now I'm at a point where I don't know which one I love more, if it's the business aspect of it or is it the
Oh my
photography aspect of things.
seriously,
Yeah.
Ruth. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
It's amazing.
it is because at one point I was posting and educating on business financials and I was like, "I
Right.
love this." Like I'm
Right.
girl. I was like,
Right. I hear
I'm
you.
like, I don't know if I love this more than actually being an artist, like actually being practical in my
Yes.
business because
Right.
for one, it felt like I was helping more by teaching
Mm.
financials opposed to teaching how to be practical because you can go
Right.
anywhere and find practical education. It's even online now, you know.
Yes.
But
It's
I'm
everywhere.
but I'm like, but teaching business financials, that's you can't find that really anywhere. You can find it, but not where it's like focusing on this one particular industry. It's on a
Of course.
broader spectrum where it's teaching you business financials no matter what type of entrepreneur you are. And I wanted to make it solely about beautypreneurs because I feel
Oh,
like
wow.
we
Yeah.
we lack it so heavily, you know. But the
Yes.
podcast, I don't want to knock the podcast, but it's like the
Right.
podcast just kind of took over and I didn't realize how demanding it was going to be. So then that took a back seat.
Mm.
And I still want to do it, but just going back to what you said, it's like I didn't realize how much I love the business aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to
Yes.
actually being an artist. So I know exactly what you mean. Like when you said that, I know I can connect with you here and here,
Right.
from my mind
Right.
and my heart, relating to what you said because I actually experienced that last year, not thinking I would ever be passionate
Wow.
about the business part. Like that just seemed like the boring part, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And I can even relate to what you're saying regarding having that educational aspect
Mhm,
specifically for people in your field, because for me right now, I'm at that crossroads, I feel like, because there's
mhm,
so much that I've learned on the business side, and I
mhm.
see so many other photographers that are coming into the business or have been into the business a little, for a few years, but are running into the same wall. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, I can help you come around,
Yeah,
from around that wall."
yeah.
But it's like, do I have the mindset right now? Is it a passion of mine to do that right now?
Mhm.
If not, I'll kind of wait. But there are so many gems that I've picked up in these past like 2, 3 years
Yeah,
that I feel like, oh man, I need to get this out. But as you know, I'm somebody that needs to make sure that all of the T's are crossed and
absolutely,
all of the I's are dotted before I even put
absolutely,
my name on something. Yeah,
absolutely.
so I
And
get it.
and I understand that because it's like I'm trying to learn not to do that because a
Right.
lot of people say like just start somewhere. But a lot of the times I'm like, I
Yeah.
can start somewhere, but I can also miss a lot of gems that they deserve too. So it's like I kind of want to be like
Yes.
90% of knowledge besides learning along the way and they're learning too. I just feel like to a certain extent that's not fair to whoever wants to invest into me to,
Of
trust that I
course.
can give them the knowledge that they are seeking. So that's another reason why I'm like, I don't want to tap into that until I know for sure I'm almost like the expert, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know exactly what you
Yeah.
mean by that. It
Mhm.
can be tough. It can be tough, but I do believe that it is safe and it is okay for us to move when we feel as though it's time to move,
That's
right?
true.
And not rush the process, because
Mm.
at least the way that I see it is there is no set finish line.
Right.
It's a
Right.
it's a journey. I'm enjoying the process, and I'm going to
Ooh.
continue to enjoy that process. And when I get
Mm.
to wherever I need to get to, it almost feels like there's a reset when you get to that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just learning to listen and
Yeah.
move. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
So let's move on to the next question.
Come on. We are
Oh,
moving and moving.
what type of events are your favorite to shoot?
you know, I will answer the question of what my favorite event to shoot is based on what it is right now.
Okay, I love
Therefore,
it because it changes, right?
boom,
It
it
changes. Yeah.
changes. It
Yeah.
really does change.
Yeah.
And I also do not want to make any of my previous clients feel any kind of way, which I would never like to. I don't like that. But
Mhm.
right now, in the present moment, as we speak, as we're talking right now, headshots. Headshots have
Headshots.
become such an amazing part of what I do, and I absolutely love it. I
Why?
love it.
Why?
I
Tell
will
me.
tell you why I love headshots. It is such a personal moment that I
Mhm.
have with my client,
Mhm.
and it is a time where I have to maximize the 5 to 10 minutes that I have with you.
Mhm.
I may not know where you come from. I don't know what your struggles are. Like, I don't know where your triumphs are. I don't even
Mhm.
know where you just came from the moment that you walked through that door to my lens.
Yeah.
But I have those few moments to get the best out of you.
Yeah.
And I get chill saying that because I have so many different people walking in, and we all have so many different stories. But at the end of my session, a 10 out of 10, people are like, oh my God, is that me? Oh my God, no, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What? And I just feel like my purpose is fulfilled every single time I do that, because I need to make sure that I'm capturing you the way that I see you.
Yeah.
And the way that I see you is the way most of the world sees you, you know? And
Absolutely.
it completely changes the course of people's days. And I know deep down inside, it changes the course of people's lives one way or another. So
Absolutely.
that's my thing right now. Headshot sessions, and I love them, Kenitra. Like, give me the shyest person.
Yeah.
Give me the person who hates cameras. Give me the
Yeah.
person who's never taken a shot, or who's never liked any photo that they've taken. And I'm only regurgitating things that my clients have said. You know what I'm saying?
OMG.
And once they leave my lens, once they leave my peripheral, they're like, "Oh my goodness."
I've seen those headshots.
Listen, and I love them. I love the people. I love the headshots. I love my experience. I love the equipment, everything, all of it from the behind the scenes. It's amazing because I have to make sure that I have the equipment that's going to support my vision, right?
Yes.
And just something as simple as finding the lighting, like the perfect lighting that is going to accentuate all that needs to be accentuated on your face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have to do that. Like, it's not, I can't just show up and think, okay, well, anything is going to work. No, like, it's a lot that goes into it. And then last but not least, I'm capturing people of all shades. Okay.
Yep.
I specialize in capturing our tones.
Yeah.
Period.
Of
Like,
course.
no one is going to tell me otherwise.
And I feel like capturing our tones are the most difficult.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And do you want me to tell you why?
Yeah. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Come on, tell
Okay,
me.
I've got the answers
Come
today.
on,
No.
come on. I do want
So,
to know.
a lot of the equipment that we use,
Mhm.
first and foremost, it is tested on skin that doesn't necessarily look like ours. And it is made for skin
Oh
tones that
my
don't
goodness.
necessarily look like ours. So
Makes so
it's
much
not
sense.
you.
Makes
It's
so
not
much
you.
sense.
Right. It's not,
Yeah.
it's what it was made for, or who it was made for. And I do know that there are some companies that are working to change that.
Mhm.
But I need you to know, if you're a photographer out there, or if you are someone who's been photographed multiple times, or you're, someone like yourself who is, in front of a camera often,
Yeah.
don't feel any kind of way. Just know
Mhm.
that the equipment that is being used wasn't necessarily designed for someone that looks like you. So someone like myself,
Mhm.
understanding that, and I know that because of my broadcasting background, right?
Yep.
When you look back at the history of television, when cameras were made, when
Yeah.
lighting was made,
Yeah.
when the cards that we use to white balance photos, images, video, like in the TV world, it's a known fact. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I don't have to go into details because you
No,
you you
I'm
understand what I'm
loving
saying.
this girl. Like my head is tilted.
I see. I'm like, is she falling off the? What's going
No,
on?
girl, when I'm so interested, like, I'm like, my head gets to tilting, and
Right.
I'm like, and then I'm trying to
Uh-oh.
straighten back
Uh-oh.
up.
Listen, it's all the information. It's just weighing your head down. So what
Yeah,
is going
like,
on
I'm
here?
interested, and I never
Right.
because I did invite a makeup artist, slash photographer, to speak on
Okay.
the podcast, and she was
Mm-hmm.
actually raising a concern about some of the,
Oh.
photographers in Austin not capturing colored people, you know,
Right.
in
Right.
the
Right.
correct way. And now I know why, because I didn't know why. I just thought it was like just a lack of education of just not knowing how to correctly
And you know
photograph
what?
colored people.
And I'll say this, I'll stop you midway because it's
Uh-huh.
definitely a mix, right? I'm not going
Yeah.
to say that it's only because of the equipment, because that's only half the issue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The other part is that it's the education, right? Because if I'm photographing people of a lighter shade all
Right.
the time,
Yeah.
and I come with the same settings that I photograph people of lighter shade to photograph someone of a darker shade, it's going to look ridiculous. So what we need to do as creatives, we need to know how to work with everyone. It's either that or you only provide your services to one,
Specific.
type of specific kind of look and feel. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's okay if you do that, because I do know people that do that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But what I found is when I started off, I was photographing Latino people, I was photographing Caucasian people, I was photographing Asian people, but then it became that, people of color, Black people specifically, were looking for a Black photographer.
Yeah.
So thank God, I knew how to capture that. I knew how to photograph people. And it was not something that I needed to relearn or something that I needed to learn. It was something that I already knew how to do.
Yeah.
And I do see a lot of professionals, they struggle with that. They really, really do. But my advice is just, hey, find people who do not look like you and ask if you could take pictures of them. Start there, or people in your family, people in your circles, and really work at it, because the work that we do, it really matters. It matters when somebody trusts you to capture them. They don't want to receive that product and look at it and say, okay, who is this? What is this?
Yeah.
Because then it reflects on them and they think that's who they are.
Yeah.
And that's not who you are. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I've had clients just say, I've had clients book me for an event or for a portrait session, right? And when they get their photos back, they're in tears.
Yeah.
Or during the session, they're like, because I allow people to see what they look like as I'm shooting, right? I'm like, as I'm capturing them, you can take a look at the back of my camera, because I trust what I'm doing. And I've had them give me some horror stories about, oh, well, this person didn't let me smile, or they gave me no direction, or the lighting it wasn't right. And I hear all that. I use it as feedback, and I use it as feedback for myself, for my business, for the photographers that I work with, so that we can ensure that you never have to go through that again if you're going to keep working with us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's a lot. It can be a lot on the photographer side. And I don't think people think about that often. It's just like, okay, bring your camera and just come click, 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 click. And that's all you do. But there's so much more to it than just bringing a camera and clicking a button.
But even when I see your work, you can tell there's education there. This is not me picking up a camera and just shooting and just going, because I did see your headshots and I was like,
right.
Oh my goodness. Like, I've never seen headshots that look so authentic,
wow.
It's so dimensional. I don't even think a lot of your people were wearing a lot of makeup,
No,
they were not. And I was like, I can see
no.
the dimension. It's like, it wasn't flat.
Right.
It was not flat, because I do see a lot of headshots and they look a little flat, it's like I can see dimension all through this picture, all through this headshot, and the picture, all of them look different.
Yes, because I'm capturing different human beings with different personalities. And like I said to you earlier,
yes.
I have this much time. Like, I've got between 5 to 10 minutes tops to get the best out of you. I have to work through I'm nervous, or I've never done this before, or I don't think I can do this, or what's my good side? Which side should we shoot? And I'm thinking to myself, I've done this before. I trust the process that I have created. My line of work, it's one that I continue to try my best to perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And not because I want the credit or because I want just clients coming at me. No, but because I need you to walk away knowing that you're beautiful the way that you are.
Yeah.
I need you to walk away knowing that it's not just a photo. This is something that you should be proud of, right? We're capturing a Boom, right there.
Yeah.
We're capturing a moment. And
Mhm.
I love when I send out, we'll send out the images. Immediately, I see people's LinkedIn's change or their Gmail photos or their Instagrams. And I think to myself, yes,
Yes,
you love yourself. You love the final product.
absolutely.
Perfect. My job is done.
But like whenever we first shot, that was 2017, I believe. Or it's 2017 or
Yes.
18.
17 or, yeah.
But I was
Mm-hmm.
literally the same way. Like I was blown away. I was like, okay, I knew it was gonna be a great piece because I saw her work. I
Right.
saw what she do. But it's different when it's
Right.
your piece and you see yourself. You know,
That part.
you can enjoy the moment of someone else's, but whenever you receive your finished product, I was just like,
Yes.
girl, I was blown
Wow.
away. I was like, this is way better than I expected. I mean,
Oh, wow.
I'm
Thank
serious.
God.
And what really irritates me is, yeah, it irritates me because
Okay,
I
say
see
that.
so many photographers and videographers. I'm not saying that they don't deserve, you know,
Okay.
I guess the following, the publishing.
Mm,
But I'm like, y'all
yeah.
all look the same though.
Yeah. I hear you and I heard that.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
the people who are so authentic, the people who are so real, the
Yes.
people who are so raw are so overlooked.
And you said it all. You have said it all. And that is a constant fight that I see because I see other professionals like myself, basically of what you're explaining, the overlooked aspect. And I have learned to mute that
Mhm.
so that I can continue to truly authentically serve the people that come my way,
Yes.
because I genuinely believe that the more I can do that on an organic level, the more it'll actually come my way. Because
Mhm.
hello, those follows, all that social media activity you're getting, that doesn't necessarily translate to money. You know what I'm
Not at
saying?
all. Not
And
at all.
and that's something that I also had to just let that sit in my spirit and then let it
Mhm.
go,
Mhm.
because
Yep.
I'm like, wow, okay.
Yep.
But that has nothing to do with what's coming into my bank account and what I'm paying other professionals.
And not to mention too, not just on top of that, I feel
Hmm.
like we draw in the people who are for us.
Yes.
Yep. We
Hmm.
draw in the
Hmm.
real authentic. And I feel as though these people, we have a lot in common. Like these
Yes.
clients that you attract to you because of the way that you present yourself online. I feel as though you
Right.
learn like we have a lot in common. You tend to attract
Absolutely.
the people who are very similar to you.
That's right.
So I
And just going off of what you're saying right now, I also go through a vetting process
mhm.
when it comes to the
Mhm.
clients that come
'Cause
our way,
everybody ain't for
right?
you, right? We need to
Everybody
do
is
a
not.
screen. Do a screen.
Right. And I have to,
Mhm.
because I will say that earlier on it was more about building my brand and just getting the business wherever I could. But
Mhm.
then I thank God that it got to a point where I now can say, okay, this just is not going to work. The style does not match my style. You're asking for a lot of airbrushing. I don't do that, right? You have to go elsewhere. And that's
Right.
fine
Yeah.
because that's just not my style. And I ask people when they come our way, have you looked at the website? Do you like what you see,
Yeah.
right? When it's capturing events, I make sure that whoever it is that I'm working with, they know what I require, what
Yeah.
my team needs when we're on grounds. I love when things feel seamless and it feels like almost like a family,
It's a
right? Like
collaborative experience.
it has to
Mhm.
be a collaboratory experience or collaboration experience of
Mhm.
collaboration, because if it's
Mhm.
not, it definitely will affect the work.
Absolutely.
And if it affects the work, that affects our relationship. And something that I've begun to do is if I feel like something just does not work for my particular business, my
Mhm.
company, then I have other photographers that I can shift things over to
Yeah.
and say, hey, give it a try. If this is what you do, if this aligns with your business model, then go for it. But I do need people to know I'm vetting you just as much as you're trying to vet me.
That's right.
From top to bottom, you know?
Yes.
And it has to be that way. When you get to that point in your business, just know that you're going upward. Like this is a good thing when you can vet people. Yeah. And you're not just taking anything in.
Because everyone is not even meant to, work with you. You're not meant to work with everyone either. It's so important to vet. It's so important to screen.
Yes.
Because it's going to determine the type of experience you are going to have with these people.
Yes. Yes. And yes. I know. Look, call me petty. Anyone listening to this podcast can call me petty. However, if you're trying to go back and forth with me on whether or not you're going to feed my crew, look.
Girl, I had to raise my hair up. Girl.
If you want to go back and forth with me about that, I can tell you right now, Kenitra, 9 times out of 10, we're probably not going to work together. Because why is that even a topic of conversation? When I send out, no.
You know why it's a topic of conversation. Because you know what, girl,
And for the record, please feed your vendors. This is a PSA.
How do you communicate to these potential clients, like, we need to be fed? Like, how do you, because you think it's like a common sense thing. I'm not trying to degrade anyone's,
right. Expertise, background. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a common.
Well, I tell my husband all the time, common sense is not common. And who told me that? What is it? He was the director of an agency that I worked for back in the day. And he said that to me. He said, common sense is not common.
No.
And I took that and I said, yeah, you're right. It's really not.
It's not.
Yeah. So to your point.
And
yes,
the last wedding I worked 12 hours and wasn't fed. 12 hours.
So you asked how do I convey that, right? Like, how do I communicate that?
Because I put it in my contract and it still didn't happen. So.
Oh, right. No. So I talk about it, right? Because I love being upfront. I love transparency. I tell my clients that when we have our conversation, when I receive an inquiry, the first thing that I'm going to do is call you. And interestingly enough, business owners, photographers specifically, please listen up. Update your websites.
1.
Pick up the phone.
2.
And return emails ASAP. As
3.
soon as you get that email, there is no reason why I should be getting clients calling me. When I call them, they're shocked. They are shocked. Kenitra, let me tell you something.
That's fine.
Unless it's my designated time of rest that we do have in my home, happens to be Saturdays, I will, as soon as it drops, within an hour or two, okay? If maybe I'm at an event and I cannot get back to you, you'll get it within a day or two. But my line here of work is, I get that inquiry, we're calling you.
Yeah.
Because I need to establish that method of communication. I need to let you know we are real. We exist. As a Black business owner, there are steps that I have to take that other business owners are not taking, right?
Yeah.
And
or don't have to.
And for me, or don't have to take it all, right? And for me, that's one of them. I need to establish that. It's sad that I even have to do this, but I love having that communication because you can hear me on the phone. Yeah. I think we've lost that because of social media and everything going on in the world. It's like people are shocked, Kenitra. I'll call the person and they're like, oh my goodness, you got back to me so quickly. Thank you. I'm like, no, thank you, for picking up and for inquiring about my business.
Yeah.
So it's so important. Like, getting back to what you were talking about with the whole food thing, when I have that initial conversation with whomever it is that I'm that wants our business, I explain to them how things work at Annan Productions, right? I explain to them what we expect. And sometimes that means feeding us. Sometimes that means lodging. Sometimes that means paying the travel fees.
Mm-hmm.
If you need additional photographers, because we do provide you with a set of photographers, but if you need additional ones, I will tell you exactly what that looks like in numbers,
Yeah.
so that you have an idea of what you're walking into.
Yeah.
And when I send you that quote, I am going to assure you, right, of our work,
Yeah.
what it looks like, what
Yeah.
you can expect. And I reiterate the fact that we are people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I establish that communication with people, it's like they don't look at me just as you're just a photographer
Yeah.
anymore. They're like, "Hey, Ruth,
Yeah.
Ruth." It's
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, so," and there's such a sense of worry. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it's like, oh, "Okay, have you guys eaten? Is everything okay?" Because I set that tone. Similar
Mm-hmm.
to what there is one of your podcasts, your earlier podcast, because I am on it when it
Girl,
comes to hair. When I'm saying,
look, I'm the one who gotta get back on it, girl. I gotta get back on it, girl. Oh
get back
gosh,
on
gotta
it.
get back on.
But in one of your podcasts, you were talking about the importance of having that initial conversation with your hairstylist,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that you have the expectations that you have. You're not just going to walk away. Like, you're not booking an appointment and just going to sit in the chair.
That's right.
Because if you leave not liking what you leave with,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be a problem. You're going to feel some kind of way. But you were like, did you talk to them before?
Did you
Do you know what they do? How they wash their hair? Do they detangle? Are they coloring your hair? What's the color? What's the tone? Did you do a test? And when I heard that, I was like, man, that's so true, because I haven't done that with my hairstylist when I've gone to different ones. But I noticed that I do that in my business. I do. I establish that rapport.
Yeah.
I want them to see me as a business owner. I want them to see me as a human being, and I want them to treat me that way.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want somebody treating you that way, where you can't eat, you can't drink, you have to feel like you're in a hurry. I like to feel comfortable at the events that I'm at.
Because your best work comes out too. Let's just be
Period.
honest.
Point blank.
Your best
Point
work.
blank.
I cannot work under. It's not. I can work under pressure, but being so uncomfortable,
Right?
Having 8 on an empty stomach,
No.
like you just can't put your best foot forward.
No.
Who, girl?
And that's why I absolutely love all of the clients that I have worked with up until now. It has been amazing, with the exception of maybe one, but it wasn't anything like insane, anything crazy. I absolutely appreciate the sense of urgency. I appreciate the feedback that they provide. I appreciate the trust that people have in Annan Productions, because they know that they don't have to worry. Yeah. They know that they're going to get quality work.
That's true.
Period.
I did not have to worry. And back to what you were saying, like how you correspond so quickly. I was surprised too. I'm not gonna lie. I was surprised.
Really?
I was. I did not expect.
That's sad.
I remember that. I did not expect you to get right back to. I was like, oh, let me hurry up and respond before she go. Girl,
you see? I
was like, let me hurry up and respond before she go ghost. Let me hurry up and book before I can't get in touch with her no more.
Right.
Yeah, because I was experiencing like a high volume of people not returning the phone call, or maybe there's not a phone number there to reach, or not return the emails. But you were just on it. I was like, this communication is top tier. And like you said, it builds trust. It makes the person want to move forward with you, because it's like, clearly they're serious about what they do. And I'm looking for someone who's serious about what they do, because I'm serious about what I need,
Of course.
Yeah. So no, seriously, I did get a lot of, because I needed a videographer. Photographers were better at responding whenever I needed a photographer. But videographers.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, but videographers were not very responsive when I was looking for a videographer, and I just kept searching, and that's how I came across your page. But yeah, you're right. That is the experience. Even in the hair world, it's the experience. I know for me, I know lately I have not been on it because I had that health scare.
Right.
And so I think so far it was so bad that one of my brides reached out to me and was like, hey, I referred someone to you and she's waiting on you to respond. But,
Yeah.
being that I was dealing with that, I don't even think I had the mental capacity. I was just like, to
Right.
even try to give her what she needed at the time. And it's like I was going back and forth in my head, like, I want to book her, but is this the right time to book her? And I think I got
Mm.
mental paralyzed,
Oof. Yep.
and I never followed up, and so that's when my bride that referred her reached out to me like, hey, this is not like you. What's going on?
Wow.
She's been reaching out to you trying to book you. And that's when I told her. And so I was like, I got to get out of this mental,
Yeah.
paralysis so that I can
Yes,
handle my business.
absolutely.
Yeah. Because, that 1.5 week when you run the podcast, doing hair, and then you
Mm-mm.
doing different areas of hair, bridal hair behind the chair. I was like, you don't realize how behind you could end up getting, you
Right.
know?
And to your point, it's a reminder to all of us
Mhm.
business owners that the way that I treat my body now is I treat it as an equipment that I kind of like
It
my camera.
is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like, maybe a blow dryer that you had. Like, there has to be maintenance. Like, our
Mhm.
body is actually a crucial instrument to what we do.
Yeah.
So I know that for me, massages are a thing. Like caring
Yeah.
for my body is a thing. Fitness is a thing. What I eat is a
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
And because burnout is a thing that once it takes over, it boom, 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 it's done, and
Yeah.
it doesn't announce itself.
No.
It just bursts, right, just boom,
Yeah.
just busting in through the door.
Yeah.
And now I'm much more cognizant of that. Last year really taught me that,
Mhm.
like, you have to slow down because your body is just as important as all these different things that you're doing, the all of these things you're trying to run.
Yeah.
And we can run ourselves right into the ground. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that you took the time that you needed to
Yeah.
take, because
Mhm.
it's, you know having your own business, being an entrepreneur, you leave that 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, 8 to 4 kind of thing to work 24 hours a day.
Ain't it crazy?
It's
'Cause that's
crazy.
funny you said it, because I was like, I don't remember this level
Yes,
of stress. But there's also a level of freedom. It's like you cannot
there
it's like
is.
I prefer this over the 9 to 5. I don't know why, when I had
Right.
more of a work-life balance when I had the 9 to
Hmm.
5. And then I become an entrepreneur, and it's like there's no work-life balance, and you have to like intentionally create it, you know?
Right.
And
You
it's
do. You
still
do.
hard sometimes because you do get the pop-up inquiries. And it's like, okay, let me push this to
Yeah.
the side. Let me respond real quick. You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's why I've learned that it's important to have systems. I think
Mhm.
that's one of the
Oh,
things
let's
that
talk
has
about that.
really.
Let's talk about the creating the systems. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Right. So, one way that I've learned to create systems
Mhm.
is I go based on my previous experiences, right? With previous
Yes.
clients or things that are happening, or, things that I'm learning about, constantly educating myself, right? I want to know what's at the top of the line for this equipment. I want to know what's at the top of the line for CRM.
Mhm.
So, I'm always looking for ways to improve, and one of the best ways to improve are with my previous clients, right? If someone
Mhm.
is expecting something within 10 days, what does that look like for me? If somebody needs me to be there all day, do they need me? Do they need additional photographers? Do they need, so I'm constantly just working at it.
Yes.
And some of the tools that I use now, I mean, I know there are a lot of people that have a hard time coming around the whole AI, artificial
Oh, yeah.
intelligence concept.
Mhm.
However, it is better for you to be ahead of it, right? Get into it. Just dive into that
That's
wave,
right.
however way you
Yeah.
can, so that when things really pick up,
You're
you're
not
already
behind.
sort of in it. You're not
You're not
behind, right?
behind.
Right now, none of us are behind.
Yeah.
Okay. There is still time for us to just dive into it. And that's what I did
Mhm.
last year when things started coming up within my realm of photography, of course. I mean, I was looking at different software, right? How can I better my editing? How can this help me with my client, like inquiry intakes?
Yeah.
How can it help me draft my contracts, send out my contracts?
Yeah.
So it's really it's a nonstop thing. You
Yeah.
have to keep working at it. I love systems,
Yeah.
especially when they work.
Exactly.
and I recommend whatever field you're in. I know for me as a photographer, as a business owner, it's so important because at one point I was a solo photographer, but Annan Productions has evolved to something where I now on any given day I can have 3 to 4 photographers working under me at an event.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I need to have a system, right?
Yep.
What does that look like? Who
Mhm.
am I hiring? What time are they getting there? What time do they leave?
Yep.
I need to ensure that I have their contracts all worked
That's
out.
right.
I need to make sure that everybody is going to be eating at this event. So
Mhm.
when person A is taking a break, what is person B doing? I need to make sure that their overall what they're capturing aligns with what my brand looks like, right? Looks and
Mhm.
feels. So it's a lot. It can be a lot, but I do feel like having systems that work can streamline that and can really
Mhm.
set you up for success in your business. It's
Absolutely.
worked for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't have a system in place, then I guess you're just all over the place. Like you have to have something that you're
Yeah,
following in order for like
absolutely.
some type of structure in order for the business to even flow cohesively. You know, girl,
Right, right.
you gotta
And
have
the way you're shaking your head right now, I understand.
you gotta
You
have
have
something.
encountered a lot.
I have. Oh my gosh. I
And you
have.
know what?
Mhm.
The sad thing is, or maybe the good thing is, once you're someone who has implemented systems into their workflow, into their business,
Mhm.
you can look at other business owners or other people and just like, come over here. Come on. Let me just give you a few tips because right now this train is going down south
Girl,
real bad.
you're off the tracks. Just off the
It's just
track.
going, I mean, you're flying at this point.
No,
The train is flying, right?
girl, and ain't no train got no business in the air. Okay.
In the air.
But no, seriously, and that's what comes with the
Oh
experience.
my goodness.
That's just what comes with the
Absolutely.
experience, and you
Yes,
can see
indeed.
where they are because that's where you were, and that's why
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's why you wanna take them on by the hand and be like, "Look, let me show
You,
you."
look,
Yeah.
come on, baby. Let
Mhm.
just come on, get a hug. Let me just
Yeah.
give you
Yes. But
it's
do
necessary.
you feel like social media is the reason why people are not creating systems? Do you feel like it plays some type of role or factor?
I So here's the thing. I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix
Mm,
because some people just do not have they don't have the discipline,
the
right?
discipline.
Some people
Yeah,
do not have the discipline and other people don't listen. So
girl. That's just a
those are
double
two
win.
recipes for this that part. You're I mean
No, see, that's a double-edged sword. You need
it's
both. You
chaotic.
need both.
You need both.
Mhm.
If you are going to leave the corporate world and you're going to say I'm now an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
if discipline is not at the top of your your list of priorities or whatever, I'm sorry, friend.
Yeah.
And if you're not listening to people who have been through what you're going through or what you're starting, or trying to gravitate toward people who are going to give you that worthy advice that is going to make you thrive,
Yeah.
forget it.
Forget
You
it.
might as well stay at your 9 to 5 and just do this as a hobby, which to be honest with you, it's a trigger word for me.
I know. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Because
it's a trigger. I'm working on it.
for you it's a career. It's not
That's
a
it.
hobby. And
No, no.
even if you Google, you know, you
Hmm.
know, I don't know, simple ways to make extra income. They're always gonna throw out photography, hair, makeup.
Always, always.
Girl. And it's like this is why we
Everybody
don't
can
get the
do it.
respect that we deserve because they look at this as though it's a hobby. And it's like, well, y'all are familiar
Yeah.
with movies. You are familiar
Right.
with modeling and behind
Y-
the scenes, those are the film crew. So
exactly.
this is not a hobby. This is a
It's
career.
not.
And if you're
It's
gonna do
not
it
a
as a
hobby.
hobby, run it as a hobby. Don't have all
Yes.
of these LLCs, sole
Oh.
proprietors, S corps, just be like, I do this on the side.
It's okay because people already expect it. So just say that.
Mhm.
So when,
Right.
and I think we're coming to a place, at least I see it with Annan Productions, my
Mhm.
business, when I have prospect clients reach out, they
Mhm.
treat it as such. They treat it as a business.
Yeah.
It'll be like a cousin or something, or some random person like, oh, how's
Ooh,
your little business? Oh yeah. So
yeah.
I'm like, whoo, if I hear that one more time.
Those are the worst
Absolutely.
ones. Mhm.
Right. Bless their hearts. But it's definitely something that I have I have outgrown. I mean, it's been decades that this is not a hobby. It is a business. So
Mhm.
if you think you want to leave your current work, your current job, or whatever you're doing to pursue whatever business you're in, it cannot be considered like you cannot consider it a
At
hobby.
all.
And it has to be in you.
Mhm.
So it's that important.
And don't run it as a hobby if that's the goal. If you're leaving
Right.
your 9 to 5, really step up,
Right.
change your mindset and understand that this is now a career. Because if you run it as
Exactly.
a hobby, you're gonna attract the clients that's gonna treat it like a hobby. If you run it as a
Exactly.
business, you're gonna attract the clients that's gonna treat it as a business. Because if you're running it as a hobby, like you don't even know it. But the energy that you
Exactly.
pour out, even in communication with these potential clients, it's
Right.
it's
Right.
hobby. It's giving hobby.
Absolutely.
In what ways have social media influenced your photography business in both negative and positive ways?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I'll start. Let me start with the negative, right?
Yes.
Social media, how has it impacted me negatively? I think as a business owner, unfollowing certain accounts because I was not at their level of professionalism or even craft, right?
Mhm.
And I think what happened was I started following other companies, other photographers. And because I was not there yet, that whole comparison thing started to kick in. And it really weighed me down as a creative because we have to be very aware of our emotions, of
Mhm.
the way that we feel and our mental space overall. So I
Mhm.
saw that it was affecting me more than it was helping me,
Mhm.
and I made the decision to just, respectfully unfollow certain individuals.
Absolutely.
And now I'm at a point where I can absolutely follow them again. And some of them
Mhm.
I have, but others, because of the mental bandwidth that I was working with, I just couldn't. So that's how social media as a professional has affected me and also as an
Mhm.
artist. I
Yes.
will say the way that it has positively helped me is that I can connect with people, right?
Mhm.
I'm I do not use my social media to gain clients. As a matter of fact, the way that I use my social media is as a get to know me place.
I
And just
love that.
yes, and that's a place
Mhm.
that I arrived at last year, toward the end of last year, because I was having a conversation with my husband and it just came out. I said to him, "Yeah, you know what? I still use my website." It was an aha moment. I think it was one of the days where
Mhm.
I think Facebook had crashed or something, and everybody was talking about. I was like, "Oh, what's going on with Facebook?" And I thought to myself, and Instagram too. I think it happened with Instagram too.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
said, you know what? I'm good because my business comes from my website. It comes from the relationships that I've built over time and that I'm continuing to build right now in the present moment. And
Mm.
it just dawned on me. And that's when the conversation started with my husband. Where I was like, you know what? That's what my social media is, because I went back to my feed and I
Mm.
was like, oh, it's basically a recap and a place where people are coming to. And I think they come there after they go to my website or after they talk to me just
Mm.
to verify who I am. And it's
Mhm.
something that I did organically because that's just who I am.
Yeah.
I have a hard time following trends all the time. I'll
Yes.
follow them sometimes, but
Yes.
all the time it's a no can
Girl,
do.
because you're so real and raw. Because you're a real
No.
raw person. And I understand
Exactly.
that. That's why I hate a trend too, because I'm like, I don't wanna jump on a
Right.
bandwagon.
Right, right. And
Mm.
sometimes there are some that just align with the content that I wanted to share from the beginning.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, you know what? I can hop on this one. But it's not something that I do because I have to. I create because I want to. And
Mhm.
I realize that that's what my Instagram primarily, because that's where I'm
Ooh.
primarily on. That's what my Instagram is. It's a, hey, how are you? By the way, this is Ruth and this is Annan Productions and this is what we're bringing. This is the value that we bring.
Mm.
But if you really want to know who we are, you already came from there and that was the website. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So
Yes.
that's the positive aspect of Instagram, to be specific, for my
Mm-hmm.
business. It's just a get to know me place.
Ruth, girl, I'm
Uh-huh.
having this moment because I literally just said to Dominic, I said, I don't want to attract clients from Instagram. I said, and my
Mm-hmm.
primary reason for that is due to it's a lot of noise on there. You know,
Yes.
in the past, the algorithm was you could only see in your feed the people that you were following. And to me,
Right.
that was more healthy for me because I'm seeing who I want to engage with. Now the algorithm
Exactly.
is just throwing anybody at me. I'm like, I don't want to
Anything.
engage with these people. Like that, I don't want to. You know, I really
Right.
loved how they kept it separate from the For You page. That's where you went to
Right.
go see content that you were not following. And now it's just an
Exactly.
overwhelming amount of content that I just genuinely don't have a passion to follow. I said, so I have
Right.
to change my reason for, being on Instagram. I said, I want
Yes.
to network. And I said, and the only place that I
Mm.
feel as though I can network is on LinkedIn,
Hello.
on YouTube. And I
Yep.
said, and I'm still contemplating about TikTok. But that's why I love how you've already figured that out. Like, I only want to be on Instagram as a hey, I have an Instagram just for additional verification because everyone wants to ask you,
Absolutely.
do you have
Yep.
Instagram? But like you said, what's more important is something that's not gonna crash
That
because
part.
us as creators, we spend even I'm still guilty of it. We spend
Mm-hmm.
so much time pushing that content on Instagram and TikTok just because it's the easiest thing to do, the most simplest way to do it,
Right.
instead of
Right.
really investing into the resources that are more substantial in your business.
Absolutely. And I had the aha moment because it dawned on me that, respectfully, my clients do not come from Instagram.
Oh my,
My clients
that's
come
why you have
to
such a
Instagram.
great clientele too, because you don't have the
Thank you.
lurkers mixed with the
No.
professionals.
No.
You don't
We're
have
not
that
doing
because
that.
let's be honest, Instagram is gonna bring different types of audiences versus your
Right.
people who are on Google looking.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? People that are
Right.
on Google, people that are on LinkedIn, these are very intentional
Yes.
professional people. With social
Yes.
media, you are going to get a realm of people. And YouTube is a good social media platform because it's still an intentional search. It's just not
It
Google.
is. It
But
is. It
yes.
is.
But on Instagram and TikTok, you just scrolling, just scrolling, just scrolling.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That scroll helps me because when I do feel like posting and I do put that effort in there,
Hmm.
it's a refresher for people because they're like, oh, there she is. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
She's around.
Yeah.
But I can't, I do not book my clients off of Instagram. Every now and then I'll get someone that's like, hey, I saw what you posted on Instagram and can we do this and that? But to be honest with you, that usually falls through because I am at a point in my career as a businesswoman that I understand like lingo, right? I
Mm.
understand certain words and certain codes
Yes.
that I know where this is going.
Mhm. Yeah, isn't it
I
funny
know.
how the longer you stay in this business,
Yes.
the more communication you have with different types of people. Some have similarities,
Yes.
and you know.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh, if you know, you know.
absolutely.
And it's very simple. The people, and I think you touched on this earlier, the business that is for you, it's for you. It's going to come to you.
Mhm.
And that's exactly how it goes. I do entertain the conversation on Instagram here and there,
Mhm.
but my convo stops at me sending you my link and then crickets. But I don't My Instagram, I know what it's for. I
Yep.
know what my website is for. I know who I am in this realm, in my business,
Mhm.
in the field that I'm in the area that I'm in with the other creatives. I am in no competition with anyone at any given point. I'm only
Mhm.
here to better myself. I'm only
Yep.
here to continue to provide value to my clients, to the people around
Mhm.
me, and also to the other creatives around me, because I am part of a few groups here in the DMV area, which I
Mhm.
absolutely love. I can chime in, and every now and then there are meetups and things like that. But I love just being in these spaces, but these spaces do not define me, because one thing that I've come to realize is that you have to understand the space that you take anytime you walk into a room, anytime, whether it be a physical room or a digital room, because
Mhm.
that's what our lives have become,
Mhm.
an entire digital room. Okay,
Right.
you
We're here
have to
now. We're here
know.
now.
We're here right now in one of those rooms,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
I have to know who I am and the space that I take up. I say that to the people close to me. I say that to my husband often. We have those conversations, and I'll say that to my children in the future. Who you are in the space that you own, the space that
Mhm.
you take up once you show up, and who I am in the internet world. Annan Productions. That's www.annanproductions.com.
Right.
That's what the business is. Instagram, other social media platforms. Hey, how are you?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
I remember, sharing this piece of information with another hairstylist, and she was just like, "I don't understand why you would do that." Um,
Yes.
yeah, and so, I was like, "I'm not saying it's not a good place to."
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I'm not
It
saying
has
that.
its benefits.
I was like, "But I just
Mm-hmm.
feel like I wanna be more in tune with why I'm there. Why am I showing up there more than
Mm.
I'm showing up where I could really gain the clients that I'm looking for?"
Right,
I was like,
right. And
I
and it's a journey.
it is a journey. It is, and that's another thing too. Like you just saying that was another gem. It's like also honoring the journey, trying to see how this is more beneficial for myself. Opposed, I've been here forever. I've never checked out these other
Mm.
resources where I'm connecting with people that I want to connect
Yes,
with, and not people just clicking the
absolutely.
button to follow me just because, or I'm clicking the
Right,
button like because you said something in the moment that I like, but I don't know if I'm gonna really like all of your content. Is it beneficial for me?
exactly.
Versus on LinkedIn, it's like, no, I'm looking at your profile. I'm
Yes.
reading about you. And I feel like I want to connect and be in the space of those people because if you took the opportunity and the time to create a LinkedIn profile to show up on LinkedIn, these
Mm,
people are smarter than me in some ways. And I want
for
to be
sure.
around people like this so that I can
Right,
grow and so that I can evolve because our industry is so saturated on social media
right.
platforms like Instagram and TikTok. It's a lot of noise, and I
It
just
is.
cannot. I'm trying to turn down the noise so I can really focus on the
Mm,
people that I really want to engage and be connected to. And that's what I'm experiencing right now. It's like there's too much noise on the platform. And I need
right,
something to be quiet so I can focus. And that's my reason for
right.
like wanting to just treat it like you're treating it right now. Just, hey, how are you? I have one, but I'm not dedicated here at all, you know?
Absolutely. And I
Mhm.
think that it's okay for you to be in this space right now, because I know that there are people who do thrive
Mhm.
on Instagram or certain
Yes.
social media platforms, and that's fine because they know what they're doing and why they're there.
Yes.
Now, to your point and to what you're going through is something that I feel like I went through, and I know that I'm going to keep going through it as long as I'm living and I'm breathing, and that's
Mm.
pivoting, right? It's
Pivoting,
so
yes.
important for us to be able to pivot. And it's another aha moment that I had last year. I was talking to a good girlfriend of mine, and she asked me, because I had just recently become a mom, and she was asking me, hey, what do you want out of your business? These are the kind of friends that I have, right? They're my
I
sisters.
love that.
And it's like they keep me accountable, they lift me up,
Mhm.
and they want to make sure that I'm not only thriving in one area of my life, but in different areas of my life that make up who
Yes.
I am.
I love
So
that, yeah.
Right. And no, I do too. And I'm so
Mm,
grateful for them. Along with my
mm.
husband, I have an amazing support system.
Yes.
But she was asking me, hey, what do you want out of your business? What's next? Because what started happening was my husband, along with my close group of friends, I guess, well, I know from my husband with my friends, they noticed that my light was dimming. They noticed that I wasn't talking as much
Ooh, I
about.
love that. Like, they're checking you, girl. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we have these conversations, and he said to me, "What do we have to do to get you back on track? Because I see that you're not talking about your business anymore. You're not as passionate when the conversation comes up. You're not talking about Annan Productions. You're not talking about taking photos. I haven't seen you pick up your camera. Something is going on." And along with my girlfriend, she asked me that. She said, "What are you doing?" And I said to her, "You know what? I think I'm done." I got to that point. I was like, I think I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm okay. Maybe it's time for me to pivot to something else. Maybe it's time for me to transition, do something else. And I sat on that for a few months, and then it dawned on me. And I think it was God just, depositing that into my spirit, like, hey, it's not that you have to leave this, because it's my passion. Like, if I
Mhm.
could have, I would breathe the art that I form, right?
Yes,
Which
yes.
is photography, videography, editing. And I came down to the conclusion that it wasn't necessarily that I needed to leave this. It was that I needed to pivot the way that I was doing things, right?
Mm.
My business was getting ready to take up like a whole nother form. And I don't know if maybe that's what's happening with you right
Yep.
now, because you're like, wait a
Mhm.
minute, where am I? Which space am I
Yep.
in? And why am
Yep.
I here?
Yep.
And I'll say this to you from someone who just came out of that. That's a really good thing. It's a
Yeah.
really good thing, Kenitra, because,
Mhm.
and for anybody out there that is listening, it is okay for you to feel that way. It may feel like you're suffocated, or it may feel like there is no more for you. Like you're just done. Like it
Mhm.
just turns gray, but don't think that it's time to abandon ship. Sometimes you have to figure out, how can we pivot around this? What's on the other side for me? And what was on the other side for me were all of the things that I always wanted, was to successfully run a business, to have other people working with me, to be able to travel and do what I love. And I'm literally seeing those things come into fruition,
Mm.
because at one point I wanted that, but then things happened along the way, and suddenly things got dark, and I thought, okay, that's it for me, but it wasn't it. And I think it's also a phase of being an entrepreneur, right? We're
Yeah.
going to continue to evolve, kind of like if we think about a caterpillar going into the stage of a butterfly, right? Like we
Yes.
have that. Or even a snake, snakes have
Yeah.
to, they will
Shed.
shed all of that, but it's
Mhm.
still a snake. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
at the end
Yeah.
of that transition, you're still a snake. It's just you had to let go of all of that. So it happened to me. I feel like it's happening to
Oh,
you
girl.
based on what we're talking
Yes,
about.
yes.
And it happens to everybody at some point of their life.
I
So it's a great
know.
thing.
And I know it is, because it's giving me an opportunity to grow, you know? So I know it's a great
Mm.
thing, but it's like I'm ready to be on the other side. Like, I'm so tired. Like, I'm ready to be on the other side, you
I
know?
know.
And
I
I'm gonna get
know.
there. It's just trying to really just know what is for me. You know, what is that thing that's for me? I've had great success
Yep.
from Instagram as well, but I don't think I have the energy and the momentum to keep up with the constant evolving, or the evolvement of Instagram and its algorithm. I just don't have it. You know, it's always
Right.
changing. It's always something
I
new,
hear
always something
you.
different. I'm like, I don't have time for y'all to be running me. You know, it's already enough trying to run the business.
Right.
It's already enough to try
Right.
to run the
Right.
business. So it's just like
I hear you.
it's just something. That's why I was like, I really love your outlook and your goal for it. It's just like, hey, I have one, but I'm not dedicated here. I'm more dedicated to where it really
No.
matters. Yeah.
Right. Right. Because if trust me, look, I know how it is. Today is one trend, tomorrow is three, and then after tomorrow is one, back to two. And if Instagram was that was like the breadwinner where I made my money, then I would be on Instagram. That's it.
Mhm.
But it is
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
respect the people that do it. I'm just not that person right now. I don't know if I'll be that person in the future. I may be.
That's
I'm not.
true.
I will never walk away from that.
Yeah.
But right now and present in the present moment, focusing on my website, focusing on establishing and continuing to nurture the relationships that I have built over the years with
Mhm.
companies, with individuals and things of that nature. That's
Mhm.
what's important to me. Everything else is secondary.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I am.
Yeah. You said today that may not be how you feel about Instagram, but you don't know how you're going to feel in the future. And see, what I've learned or what I am
Right.
learning to do is embrace impermeable situations. Like things aren't always permanent either. Like I really need to
Mm.
start walking
Yes.
gracefully in that because I don't. I don't walk.
Mm.
And,
Yeah.
like I would say not overall in general, but there are certain things I don't, because I'm like, well,
Right.
this is
Right.
what's going on. This is what's happening. So for most people, then why is it not happening for me? Like, why am I the one not wanting to go in that direction and everyone thinks it's the best direction? So it's like, well,
Exactly.
then it becomes, am I making the right decision? You know?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
It has nothing to do with me not wanting to embrace the impermeable change. It's like, is it the right decision though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And sometimes you will not know until you make that decision,
that's true. Yep.
It's like it's
Mhm.
either you make it or you don't, but it's whatever is on the other side of that. And oftentimes when I had that feeling of is this for me or is it not? I mean, sooner or later I found out, and thankfully it was. But
Mhm.
you'll
Yeah.
never know. You'll never
Yeah.
know until you do it.
That's true. Imma do it.
Oh,
Imma
there
do
it
it,
is.
girl. Alrighty.
Nice, nice.
So can you share some examples of how photographers can effectively pivot in their careers?
Absolutely. Some ways that I have been able to pivot in my career. First and foremost, planning, right? What
Mm,
do I want out of what I'm doing? And from there, I can map out what that looks like. Now, whether or not that's going to happen, oftentimes that really is going to be up to me.
mhm,
I know that in the way that I've done it, I started out with family photography and doing things like maternity shoots and doing things like birthday parties. I even did weddings at one point.
mhm,
But after a while, I had to sit back and say, what is going to give me the lifestyle, right? And the profit that I want without me having to break my back all day long? Because family photography, wedding photography, things like that, it
mm,
can be a lot. It can be a
mhm.
lot. And I'm sure you hear it from the professionals that you work with, wedding photographers or
Yeah,
videographers. And, I had to map out what that life looks like for me, what it would look like for me. And thankfully, I was able to do that because I was found online. That's
yeah,
really what it boils down to. So all of the work that I was doing with my website, I was able to find people were able to find me. And so slowly I started transitioning into the kind of work that I do now, which is
mhm,
headshot photography, corporate conference photography and retreats. So it's really, I think that it starts with mapping out what that looks like for you. Plan what it
mhm.
is that you want, because it can't be that your entire career is you just throwing something at the wall and seeing if it sticks,
Yes.
because those are the results that you're going to get.
Yeah, that's true. Because 'cause I've done it. I've been there.
Right. And I think at some point we're all there,
Yeah.
but you then have to make the decision of how long am I going to be here for? Because I already know what the outcome is. It'll be
Yes,
some random thing.
it
And then
will.
I'm back to this same wall. Right. Like
Mhm,
I know
mhm.
it because I've been there.
Yes.
And then you're back to that same wall, like, all right, what are we throwing at it next? You know? Okay, this season, what am I gonna throw at it? I'm gonna throw some maternity.
Girl, no,
I'm gonna throw
seriously.
what I'm gonna do.
Seriously, Like we
I'm gonna
literally
throw
be
some
like,
weddings. Yeah, like no.
we do a lot of
Yes,
that. Oh
we
my
do it. We
gosh,
do it.
seriously.
And Kanitra, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I know that this is all of the experiences that I've gone through, similar to you,
Mhm.
they're brewing up to that educational aspect of my business, right? Of my
Yes.
brand. Because one day I'm going to have to share this on a platform to other individuals because these are nuggets that are actually helpful. I just
Yeah.
had a consultation with a friend of mine, and they just received their first big event, right?
Okay.
Inquiry. And they sent me the information, and it was just a lot. I was like,
Oh my
whoa,
goodness.
okay. Yeah. I was like, hold on. Okay, look. I said they were asking me for feedback through text. I said, "Oh, no. This is a Zoom call right here."
But girl,
Right.
girl, it be like that.
Right. I said, "You know what? Tomorrow, because it was at nighttime and I just didn't have the bandwidth to chat or anything.
Mhm.
Tomorrow we're going to talk about this." And
Yes.
I went through it. I walked them through my process because I said to them, "This is the process that gets me booked." And I don't have a problem sharing that because I know that what's for me is still going to be for me at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
regardless of if you have my formula or not.
That's
So
right.
I much rather you have that formula so that you too can succeed, you know?
And also,
So
people book you. They don't necessarily like the formula is the
yes.
addition. But people really yeah,
Yes.
but
There you go.
people like they can take the recipe, girl, but just because you're not me,
Exactly.
they may not book.
And I see that. And you know,
Mhm, yeah.
I feel what you're saying, and it's so true because even now as my business is scaling, there
Mhm.
are multiple events sometimes happening on the same day,
Yeah,
and I cannot be in two places at the same time. So I'll send out my photographers,
absolutely.
and but the first thing that my clients will say on the call is like, "Are you going to be there?" And I'm just like thank you so much. I am honored. And you know, so now I have to make that
Yeah.
decision. Okay, maybe I'll be here for an hour and I'll go
Mhm,
there for an hour. But
mhm.
it's what you just said.
Yes,
They're not booking my formula. They're booking because they
you.
want that experience with me.
Yes,
And
indeed.
you know, I'm very thankful to God that it's at a point where I can make that decision and say, okay, well, I'll send out a crew to go to this location. I'll send a crew to that location. And then at any given point, I'll show up. We'll
Yeah,
have that conversation. I'll make sure that things are running smoothly, but I'm no longer just going everywhere and doing everything, you
right,
know?
right. Absolutely.
That's that. But to photographers out there, if you're starting out or even if you've been in this business for a long time, you know, it's okay for you to look for someone that you can trust,
Yes.
someone that you know is going to give you true information and they really care about their clients. Like you'll
Mhm.
know when someone is in it just for the money or you know just for the clout because I
Yeah.
have encountered I have many
Mhm,
stories, okay?
mhm.
And I see it. I see that there are a lot of coaches out here,
Yeah.
a lot of mentors out here
Yes.
that are keeping people under their wing and not
Mhm.
letting them just actually grow. And I
Yes.
get it. It's a business move. I am not by any means, you know, trashing anyone, but I think it cripples that person. It cripples
Does.
that artist. It cripples that
It
young professional,
does.
that tender professional. So
Mhm.
find someone who truly cares.
Yeah, and someone who's not in the business of gatekeeping, someone who's also very secure, you
That's
know.
another trigger word,
Girl,
gatekeeping, because
gatekeeping because it's so bad in
mm-mm,
anyone's business, especially in the business of being an
it
entrepreneur. It's
is.
bad. And
Yes.
and the beauty industry is super toxic. But it
Mm,
is. And like even when I had my bridal hair
mm.
company at, at one point, even during the interview, that was the whole goal. I said the goal is for you to learn here, but evolve and grow
Yes.
beyond the company.
That's it.
Yeah, the goal is not to keep you here. The goal is not to keep you here. We're gonna collaborate and work together while you're here, but the goal is for you to
Yes.
evolve so then I can look back and be like, I did a good damn job. look at them
Exactly.
now. Yeah. Yeah.
It's important because I do see a lot of that gatekeeping, and I don't believe in that. Even the people that I contract with, right? The different
Mhm.
photographers that I have, or editors, videographers, whatever it may be, they are oftentimes shocked. You talked about the toxicity, right? Or just what happens in some of our settings, some of our workplaces, in
Mhm.
our industries. They're like, "Wow, you're actually telling me what you use? Like you're giving me this they cannot believe. It's sad
Yeah.
that being genuine, being kind, being nice
Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm.
is a scary thing. Like, it's shocking.
It
It's
is.
almost like, no, this really can't be. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't do the gatekeeping thing. That's
Yeah.
actually very weird. That's very
It
weird to me.
is, and it just shows a huge insecurity for sure.
That's all it
It
is.
is. It's
That
a
is all
huge
it is.
insecurity for sure.
It really
It
is.
is. Mhm. Yeah.
But
Well,
I don't believe in it. I like to see people thriving,
yeah.
especially people that look like me,
Yes,
because
indeed.
we're not often in these spaces,
No.
and I just want to say something real quick to all of the advocates,
Mhm.
because one of the reasons why my business continues to thrive is because there are so many advocates out there. There are so many individuals that I have worked with in the past that do not look like me, but they talk about me in rooms that I'll probably never step foot in. And that is huge. So when I have those opportunities, I do the same for the people that I know and
Absolutely.
that I trust. And
Absolutely.
I think that's another reason why what is for you is going to be for you
That's
regardless.
so true.
Yeah.
That's true. And you have to believe that so you do move gracefully
Mm.
in the space of sharing knowledge.
Yes.
Like that's how the world is going to
Yes.
keep evolving and revolving and growing. You can't
Yes.
take out, I mean, you could take the information to the grave. I mean, but it's like
Good luck.
if you are looking for the world to evolve and grow, then you have to share the
Yes.
information at the end of the day. You know,
I agree.
yeah, and it's really bad in our industry. This is
Mm.
such a competitive industry for us, so they really
Right.
heavy on gatekeeping in our industry. So let our listeners know how they can stay in connection with you.
Oh, yes. So, you know that my website, that's where you can find me.
Absolutely.
www.annanproductions.com. And my Instagram handle, that's where you can see me and say hello. I do random things on there. It is at Annan Productions. That is ANNAN Productions. And that's pretty much it.
Y'all, even though she's not like Instagram is not her immediate form of connecting with you all, y'all have to
Right.
get on there because when she uploads stories,
It's the stories. It's the stories. It's so random.
they are
Oh
so
my.
random, y'all. It's so funny and they're so good. Y'all,
Thank you. Thank
let
you.
me tell you, y'all have to follow the stories. The stories.
Whenever you catch them, that is, because
No,
it's
seriously,
whatever's
because
in
I
my
don't catch
brain.
them a lot of the times. But man, when I see
Right.
your little icon up there, I'll be like, boom, let me see what she's talking about
Right, right,
today.
right.
Girl. But man, y'all have because that's what I
uh,
love about you too. Like you're so professional and you have
Thank
like
you.
a great sense of humor and you're funny. You're so
Thank
funny,
you.
and you would never expect that because your flow of content is professional. It's all,
Right.
and not saying funny is not professional, it
Right.
is, but it's like you get
No, no,
the
no. I hear
yeah.
you.
But the stories is how you get to know Ruth. Those are the stories. That's how you're gonna
Yeah,
get to
there
know
you
Ruth.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, now you got the people curious. Oh boy. I'm really gonna cut
But
up now.
it is true though. That's how you get to know Ruth, like the
There we
personality
go.
behind the professional for sure. Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you know what? This year, a lot is already happening. And
Mhm.
I'm excited because I'm really going to be online
Yeah.
just doing what I do best on IG, Instagram. And that's just, being me. That's it.
I know, and I think that's why your content is so good on IG, because it's not your serious platform. It's your platform to just show up and say hi
Right.
and have a little fun. And I think that's why the
Yep.
stories just come out so good. I'd be like, this is such a funny
Oh.
story. Like,
Oh my
yeah, it'd be
goodness.
so
Yep.
good. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Kenitra.
You're
I
welcome,
love
girl. I
you.
love you
Thank
too, girl.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so much.
for spending time with me and the listeners today. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed our podcast, our episode today. And that wraps up another insightful episode of Hear What I'm Saying. A huge thank you to our incredible guest, Ruth from Annan Productions, for sharing her wisdom and expertise with us today. From her compelling insights on the significance of social media to her illuminating perspectives on the nuances of photographing people of color, Ruth has undoubtedly left us with much to ponder and implement in our own creative journeys. Don't forget to follow Ruth on her social media channels and explore the captivating work she produces. Remember, your website is your digital storefront, your portfolio to the world, so invest in it wisely, just as Ruth advises. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with your fellow creatives. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep expressing yourself authentically. This is Kenitra signing off from Hear What I'm Saying.